Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henschers with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd. We're going to take a look at the market action in the last 2 days, and then we're going to look at our indicators like we usually do. Look at 4 country indices outside of the United States. We look at Germany, Russia, India, and China. 5 stocks today: Alibaba, VipShop, Youku, Tudou, SINA, and CTRP. Okay, back to the Dow Industrials. Over the last 2 days, up slightly. Didn't do much of anything yesterday, slightly down, and today up 64 points. Although at one point it was up like 150, 160 points. It's done this afternoon fade again. Now, it actually peaked in the morning, rallied back, and then faded after 1:30, which it's really been doing for the last 4 or 5 days or so. I'll come back to these down arrows in a minute. S&P 500, similar type thing. You could see how it just faded in the afternoon. The NASDAQ, yes, it's up 22.7, but a doji bar, which strikes me as not extremely bullish in terms of the price action. Same thing on the New York Composite, not very bullish. Basically closed almost right where it opened, and continuing to trade and close below the 10-day exponential moving average, and the 10s crossed below the 21. But it's done that before over here, and then we got nothing. I mean, there's no further movement to the downside. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days as we get through the rest of the indicators this week. Russell 2000 a little more bullish, but it needs to hold above this level in here. Are these 22, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20? All right, these were previous 20-day highs. Okay, if this doesn't hold above this 20-day high, we could get a little reversal and quick sell-off and breakdown. So that will be something to watch, and I'm going to put a little trend line right in here like this to see if it starts to break down and breaks that trend line, then it'll head south pretty quick. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the German DAX. The German DAX, they talked about at one point it was up 2% today, and again it faded down a little bit, but it looks like it's rolling over. I mean, you got the 21 below the 55, so the intermediate trend's down. The short-term trend is now broken below. We're getting a little sell-off, but again, it's going to have to go through this previous low here to have any kind of substantial move. But we could just be in some kind of little topping or just a little pullback. It's just hard to tell because it's been so strong. Been so strong. Russia. Now Russia, this is interesting. I haven't looked at Russia in a while. It's been several weeks since I've talked about this in a video. This trend line is one I drew weeks ago. Okay, so when I open this up today, boom, you see how it's broken down. It's come right down through this trend line after stalling out up here in this ending diagonal. These diagonals are sending a message. And most of the time they work out, and so now it's breaking down, and we'll see where it starts to get support. Of course, the next previous support area would be in this congestion area right about here, about what is that, 908, something like that. But it looks like it's starting to roll over again. India is definitely in corrective motion. Nifty 50 is correcting. It's trying to get some support in here at the 233-day moving average. That's where it caught it once before back in early May, and then now we're pulling back down through there. This has had such a big move. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of pullback, because I think that this is a big extended third intermediate wave that just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see some pretty decent corrective action in here. We'll see. But again, these things have a tendency, once you get into corrective mode, after you get out of the impulse mode and get into corrective mode, this thing can morph into any number of about 13 different pictures. So and then the last one is the Shanghai Composite that we'll take a look at. And again, I've had this line right here for my estimated top of intermediate wave 3, based on projections, Fibonacci projections of this 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5th wave. And you can see we had a little slight pullback here on a minor wave. Well, actually, it's a minute wave 2. So you had a minute wave 1, minute wave 2, minute wave 3, and then you get the sharp pullback 4 because it's the opposite of this one here. And now we're getting this 5th one, and it's struggling. I'm expecting it to kind of push right up into here and top out, and then we'll correct. We'll get a 4th intermediate wave that should probably be somewhat sharp, because this was a little bit of a zigzag, but it's more of a flat in here, an ABC type flat, and somewhat shallow. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's pretty shallow given the move, the 5-wave move. This did not pull back, so it's going to be real interesting. At a minimum, I think once this ends and tops out here, I think we're going to pull back at least to the bottom of the previous wave 4. So I'll be watching for that. But first things first, we got to get wave 3, intermediate wave 3 to complete. And boy, it's just, bullish on the Chinese stock markets. All right, let's take a look at the short-term trading index. The 10-day is pulling down. The 10-day is 1.05. But again, it's still, in the neutral zone as far as I could tell. And the VIX. The VIX was really going there for a while today. It started to go. Boy, yesterday was really, really bullish. And then, of course, it just reversed right on down and it closed below the opening. And today was kind of a doji action on the VIX. So it's hard to... Again, we're just kind of clustering right down in here. It looks like it's trying to trend up, but we'll see. I mean, right now it's hard to predict that thing. The high-low, similar type action. I mean, in terms of just staying right near the neutral zone, not getting any strong reading. 44 more new highs than new lows today with the 64-point move in the Dow Industrials. So we're not getting a whole lot of, it's like this thing is running out of steam, especially when you look at this since late March in terms of the high-low indicator. And the last thing I want to mention today, let me go back to the Dow. The put-to-call ratio on the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, the put-to-call on equities only, 0.51. That's what I track, okay? Now, that's the one-day reading is 0.51. The 10-day is back to 0.62. I like to track the 10-day because it kind of gets a lot of the noise out. But the interesting thing that I'm seeing is that 0.51 is the most bullish one-day reading that we've received since December 22nd, back here. This was a 0.49 reading on this day. This was a 0.51 reading on this day. So extreme bullish one-day action, okay, near the top. Now, here you got a 0.51 and, it wasn't near a top, okay, but it was stalled out. It didn't do anything for the, next several weeks. And then now we're getting that reading again. We're getting 0.53 actually. Is it 0.5? Hold on. No. We're getting 0.51. These are 0.53. Sorry about that. 0.53, 0.53. This is 0.49. So this reading today is the most bullish since the reading back here. Now I'm still tracking the 10-day. It hasn't gotten extreme. The most extreme clustering of that occurred back in June, right back in here. Okay, so we had some extreme bullishness on the option trading right back in here, which kind of was a precursor. It was like a prelude before this sell-off, and then we rallied back, and then this sell-off. And then we haven't even come close to that in this move up in here in terms of the extreme bullishness on the 10-day readings. And actually a lot of the individual one-day readings. All right, so that's it on that indicator. Talked about the countries. Oh, one other indicator I wanted to look at, because I thought this was interesting, is the high yield bond fund. Look how it's collapsed the last 2 days. So the market being up today, the high yield bond fund risk off is still going down. And we've been watching this. I've been talking about this on a regular basis, and notice how this let me get rid of this. just got tight and tight and tight, and just got a lot of congestion in there, and then it just broke down. And this day here, I noted it on Monday in the Monday reading. I thought, well, okay, are we going to get a follow through? Well, we did yesterday, and then today a lot more dramatically. So I think there's some significance to this trend line being broken. It's taken out this low right in here. The next low is going to be right in here, which is the March low. Okay, and then the next low after that's going to be the early January low. So, and where is, if that corresponds to something on, say, the Dow, where's the March low? March low is down in here, and the early January low, well, that's right in here. So, I mean, we'll see whether or not we get that kind of correlation. Get that kind of correlation with the high yield bond fund or not. But that is on my radar. We're going to watch that. Alibaba, first stock we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, you know, right now it looked to me like this was trying to go bullish again, a resumption of the trend. Actually got into the calls here literally, you know, within like a minute or two of the peak for yesterday, which was very frustrating to see happen. But the interesting thing is it does look like we've got some wave. This hasn't overlapped this wave down here. And given the way the moving averages are acting, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Think it's still trying to trend to the upside. It may fail. We'll see. I'm going to, you know, tighten up the stop on this. I'm not going to keep the same 2 ATR stop on this. This is going to tell me that it's wrong fairly quickly. The next one is VipShop. And don't remember what, okay, so this is still trending down. And I remember the last time I talked about this, I said, okay, we got this little snapback after it came down here, almost closed this full gap. Well, it didn't quite close it, I don't believe. Got really, really close. And now it's just resumed the trend to the downside. And so we'll see whether or not it gets support again at the 233-day moving average. Look how it got support at that right in there. So, we'll see if it continues the trend, but right now that's the path of least resistance that's going on. And the next one is Youku Tudou, and this one, of course, has been on fire. We talked about this. And remember, I talked about how extreme readings we were getting up here, really, really bullish readings, way overbought on all the indicators. And that is not a reason to buy puts, to go short, just because you're overbought. It's an indication of how strong it is. And so what did it do? It just pulled right back to the 10-day exponential moving average and then resumed the trend to the upside. Now, you know, at some point this is going to, you know, slow down. It's going to roll over and correct a little bit more. Not getting divergence yet because we haven't had a close that's gone above this close to give us a shot at some kind of divergence. Volume is a little lower on these last couple day push than it was over here. But right now, it just continues to trend up. Let's see if I can look for any resistance. Well, I mean, this would have been some kind of minor resistance, and it seems to be hitting that with where it's stopping at these two rally points in here and here. You draw a line across, like where my crosshairs are taking it, and you can see it's running right into that. But above this, I mean, you got to get all the way up into here, up into the mid to upper 30s. If it can push through this. So, you know, the way this is acting, boy, I could see how you could almost consolidate for a little while and kind of correct sideways and form almost like an ascending triangle here of some kind, and then push right on up to the previous highs. That'll be interesting to see. It's just acting so strong. All right, next one is SINA. SINA, here we go. All right, so this, remember here's the dotted lines. I didn't put this on this chart today. This is from the last time I reviewed this, and I said this is where a potential resistance zone is going to come in, and we talked about this right in here. And yes, it pushed through it on an intraday basis today, and it pushed up through it, but then it closed right back down into it. So we'll see what kind of further selling comes in on this. If this gets and closes up above this, you know, maybe it's going to continue to run. Now, the interesting thing in terms of I had projected a high on this move of 53.5. So we'll see if that holds or not. This move right here from the low here on the 28th to the high today, we're really just talking, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 day from low to high is equal to this entire move here in terms of points, okay? Because I did the projection on it because I was looking to see where it might go. So you stretch out to the, go to the bottom here, and 100% is right here. Okay, so point wise, this move has gone equal to this move here. So we'll see what whether or not it continues to push. Very strong bullish move. Wouldn't be surprised to see it start to correct a little bit. And the last one is CTRP, and boy, that is acting really interesting too. And I know we talked about this about a week ago, and this was another one with extremely bullish, very strong price action. All the gaps in here, okay? And my Elliott wave count that I've got is I think we were in a third primary wave up, okay? And what we may have here is intermediate wave 1, intermediate wave 2, and intermediate wave 3. And we may have just concluded it, although honestly I have not analyzed this wave structure in here. It's pretty thin. Now, got a few things. I just have to take a look at it a little bit closer. But the one thing I am noting, a couple things, okay? Looks like this here, and let me get this here. This right here looks like an exhaustion gap to me, okay? This looks like an exhaustion gap, and we closed it yesterday, all right? And so given that I think that that's what's going on here, exhaustion gap doesn't mean that necessarily the move's ended, but it means it's run out of steam for a while and this thing could consolidate for a while. So that's what I'll be watching for. It seems that at first I thought this might be an island too, but I like to, typical on an island, I like to see more of a gap between the low part of the island and the next move down here. Then there really isn't much of a gap in price. I'm not sure there's any. Low 77.8, high yesterday 77.9. So there's no gap between this. Although there is this gap showing up right here, there's not a gap. Let me show you a classic just for the grins. Let me show you a classic island formation. This is a little more where you got the gap before you get the island, and then a gap on the other side between the low of the price action in the island and in here too. So this was like almost a classic island type formation here on FireEye. But let's go back to CTRP, see if there was anything else. I think that's about it. I mean, we just nice solid moves. All the trend lines are aligned to the high side, and I'm expecting this thing to consolidate. We'll just have to watch to see. We've had this pullback here, and let's look at this. Okay, so we pulled back fairly deep, greater than 61.8% of the first move. So a typical wave 2 deep pullback. So I'm not expecting that the wave 4 will be, usually, the wave 4 is the opposite of wave 2. So it was kind of drawn out in terms of the way it did it. It wasn't a sharp correction. So this could be what we're getting in here, but I think I got a feeling we're going to get more than that. It just seems like we ought to be getting more than that. Let's go to the bottom here and come up and see what we've corrected at this point. And we've almost corrected 38.2% from high to low already in this move. So we'll just have to watch. That's what we'll be looking for and watching to see if we kind of consolidate a little bit more and then reverse and maybe make, I would think, another move up. All right, that's it on CTRP. Boy, this went a little longer than I intended it to do. So that's it for tonight, Wednesday night. If you're watching this video anywhere else besides my website, head on over there and check out my posts. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Gives you access to the Trade Ideas webpage and the free PDF I've got for you, the 5 Essentials. So until next time, stay focused, follow your plan, trade without fear, and have a great Thursday, Friday, everyone. We will talk to you on Saturday.